Hello there, and welcome to I'm Sounding English. Hello, my name is Pip, and I've designed resources to improve pronunciation while maintaining fluency so that you are on the way to improving your English and getting you better understood. This is the fourth in a series about how to improve pronunciation naturally when inquiring a second language by focusing this time on the importance of vowel quality. In the last video, I explained the more theoretical approach of language acquisition by using a time pair practice so that students could begin to change their approach in how they pronounce their utterances while maintaining conversation. In this video, I will explicitly teach one important aspect of pronunciation, namely the quality of the vowel sound. I will focus on how they are pronounced, how they can be applied to regular topics using my pronunciation training videos, and hopefully your students can use it in their conversation on the topic.
So if we look at the quality of the vowel itself, why is it so important? Well, the role of it is to basically maintain intelligibility when you're talking to others. It enables you to sound more natural, allows others to understand you better. It improves your listening, and it's a start in your on your route to improving your pronunciation. But you know, it's also important to remember this is what gives accents as well. Now, as I said, when we focus on pronunciation, we don't have to worry about accents because we're concerned about intelligibility and comprehensibility as such. And so it makes sense to work on a suprasegmental level, and that way we can improve our perceptions of lexical stress and also the segmentation of speech and word boundaries in the sentence. And as I mentioned it before, the order of pronunciation, we focus, I think, on the quality of vowels, then moving on to word stress, then the stress in phrases, the rhythm and chunking of these phrases, the de-stress sounds like the schwa, then the chunking sentences, intonation, and finally the connected speech. But we're looking at vowels in this video. Now, what are these vowel sounds? Well, remember, to make a vowel sound is an open vocal tract where the vibration occurs on the vocal cords without any audible friction. That's the sounds we're looking for. It's also a unit or sound system of language that forms a nucleus of a syllable. And the vowel is a sound that is paired with a consonant to actually make the syllable. Now, when we think of vowel sounds, we would think about these ones here, the a, e, o, and u. And there's also this cheeky y one, which is an e as well, like in happy. So when we think of words like cat, bed, sit, top, and sun, you can notice that these vowels are quite short in their pronunciation. However, you can see it here in this word below, but this is cake, which is an A. So you can see that it's an A joined together. And if you look at the next one, greet, again, it says E. Okay, it's a longer sound. And might, I. So you can see the transition from the a-e and the y as well. Grow, o, and then finally cute, q, oo. So you can see there's a lengthening of the sound because you're combining actually two sounds along the way, okay? You're combining the initial short vowel with a glide with the y or the w. So again, a, e, I, o, u. Now, if we think about these short and long vowels, it's always good to compare them together as pairs. So you've got mat and mate, led and lead, sit, sight, hop, hope, young, and you. So you can see there's a lengthen in the vowel sound on the words written in red. But remember, this is only when you pronounce the words separately. The actual vowel length does change when it's in a sentence, and it depends on what the speaker actually thinks is important. Okay, but we're just looking at the words themselves and the vowel quality. So vowel quality is not important according to Jenkins, and can be excluded as part of the lingua franca core. However, it has to be stressed that more attention placed on observing and producing these sounds improves intelligibility and comprehensibility. So it's good practice also when you want to improve those links or glide sounds such as the y and w, and we'll be talking about that later on. So for example, it is the end. So you say at the end, so you can see the y is being pronounced, or why don't we go out? So when you speak faster, oh out, the w is a natural glide that fits in between those two vowel sounds. If we look at where it's placed, well, here we have a chart to show the vowel sounds, and this is where it's placed in the mouth. And if I try to explain where it is, you've got the close, close mid, close open, and open. This is where the sounds produce more at the front of the mouth. And then you've got here the front, central, and back. And this is where the sound varies from the front and the back. So if we look at those vowels, we got the I, E, A, O, and U. So you can see how it's placed differently in the mouth. And if you look at the long vowels, you've got A, E, I, O, and U. Now, if we look at the quality of the vowel in these two words written on the right side, you've got positive and position. So although it's spelled the same, you can see that due to stress, it's a different quality sound as such. Okay, so you must think also about the consonants before and after, and whether the syllables are tense or lax, and whether sound is placed in the mouth, and the use of tongue, how duration, intensity, and pitch is used, and the intention of the speaker. But in this course, we'll focus first on the duration, intensity, and pitch of the vowel, and then look at the tense and lax nature. That's important, especially with de-stressing syllables. Where the sound is placed in the mouth, how the tongue is used, because it does affect it as well. And then the speech's intention, what they're trying to say will also affect the stress. So if we look at the duration, intensity, and pitch, I'm going to look at the word make, make. And we're going to see how it changes due to duration, intensity, and pitch. Duration means the length, intensity means the loudness, and pitch means how high or low the voice goes. So if we look at this one here, I'll make some tea. I'll make some tea. I'll make some tea. And I'll make some tea. So there's slight differences, and it's actually quite challenging for me to do this separately, because naturally when I say make, it naturally goes up in pitch or intensity when I'm focused on duration, but I try to separate them so you can hear it a bit clearer. Let me try again. If I go back to the first one, I'll make some tea. I'll make some tea. I'll make some tea. And a native speaker would combine all three together. But it's important to focus on one aspect when you're working on this quality, so that you can notice the change. Now, if we look at these long vowel sounds, I have them written on the top, the great, clean, mine, coat, and you. So you can see that as part of the A, E, I, O, and U. And I've provided these words, and there is worksheets to go with these videos so you can use it. And if we look at the first section here, we're going to look at the A sound. Now, there's the A, and I think it's always good to combine it, to compare it with the adjacent O. If you look at it, you can see that A, O, the sound A is at the front and O is at the back, but it's between them, close, open, and close mid-level. It doesn't change that much. So A, O. So let's look at this. So we got make, hate, change, plate, great. Now you can pause the video and you can try to make sentences using it as well. That's fine. I like to make a great cake that everybody else hates, for example. Then the next section, E. So we'll look at that one. E is at the top, E. And if we compare it to Jason one here, the oo, E, oo, E, oo. You can see a contrast with the front and back. And if we look at these words here, weak, green, sleep, mean, clean. Again, you can pause and try to make your own sentence up as well. I'm going to have a good sleep in the next week in my clean green room. All right. The third section, the I. So we have the I sound, which is at the bottom, the I. Yes, so I. So you can see that movement. And if we look at the words, I, mine, why, height, swipe. And again, pause and try to make your own sentence. I like my height, but why? Then we look at the O sounds. So again, on the vowel chart, it's on this side, O, E, U. So we work on that sound, O. So we've got woke, hope, go, grow, coat. Again, try to think of a sentence using these words. I woke up because I had to go and find my coat. And the last long vowel one, the oo sound. Again, comparing with the e, oo, you can see the change from the front to the back, but it's still closed. So if we look at the words, we got you, flew, who, shoot, rude. Okay. And again, try to think of a sentence. You should not shoot your mouth off because it's rude. So if we look at the vowels, we've got, again, the short vowels, the black bed, thin, top, fun. But when you have the long vowels, great, clean, mine, coat, you can see that the vowel is lengthier in comparison to the short vowels. But there's no point just practicing. You need to analyze it and use it. So I give my students worksheets where they need to have conversations. So if you look at mine, you can see there's ones on clubs, hometown, a person I respect, and the country I want to go to. So we do this each week, and they got to try and find the A, E, I, O, U sounds when they're speaking. And this can only be done when they're practicing with their partners and trying to observe examples of these. And it does take time, and you'll be surprised how students get vowels that aren't long vowels, but that's all part of learning as such. So if I say, for example, it's your turn to discover this, I'll ask you to have a conversation about your free time and find examples, as simple as that. And so you get the students to talk about it and write it down. Now, the vowel length, that depends on quite a few factors. The first one I would say would be the stress or the unstressed syllable. As I mentioned earlier, we gave the example of positive and position. Although both words are spelled with P at the beginning, the unstressed syllable in position means it's not a po pronunciation. Also, you've got to consider vowel sounds are shorter before voiceless and longer after voiced sounds. What I mean by that, it's only a small point, and over time, without students noticing, they will be able to change the length once they become more confident and fluent. So there's a shorter and longer sounds. I put it between before voiceless, before voice, and at the end of words or phrases or sentences for that matter. So we've got beat, bead, been, and be. So you notice it starts to get longer, okay? Beat, bead, been, and be. it's even more noticeable if you put these words in a sentence as well. I like the beat. I've lost the bead to my necklace. I love to eat some baked beans. And oh, look, there's a bee. So you can see that it does lengthen. It's not, and you can see it's from the t and the does, but you can see again, mate, made, main, and may. And it only becomes more noticeable again once you put it into a sentence. Okay. So for example, I like that mate of yours. This was made in Italy. This is the main topic of discussion. Excuse me, may I help you? So you can find it getting longer and so on and so forth. So these are examples which you might want to pause and practice individually and then make it into a sentence. And again, there's a worksheet for this. Okay, but keep working at it. As I said, over the weeks, when you practice or get your students to practice these topics, focusing on these little points over and over again, you do see the improvement over time. Okay, so remember to explore and have fun, and hopefully getting you better understood. Thank you very much. This is I'm Sounding English.